Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly international school webinar. My name is Jennifer Chin. I'm from whisper.com. Today, together with Concilium Education and EBZ, we will be presenting speakers from Christian Alliance P.C. Lau Memorial School and also Invictus School of Hong Kong. Today, we will have Dr. Cora Hui from Christian Alliance P.C. Lau Memorial School who will be presenting, and also Mr. Christopher Jackson from Invictus School, who will be presenting to us today. So we will start off with an introduction by my partner, MC, Ms. Vivian, who would be starting off the presentation introduction in Mandarin. We will then go on to Headmaster's presentation in English, and then Q&A session in both English and Mandarin. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite Vivian. Please go ahead and do the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. 大家下午好，欢迎各位来宾参加我们企业伊比斯和 Whisper 一起举办的香港顶尖国际学校的招生讲座。那我是今天的普通话主持人 Vivian， 我是一位普通话语言学老师。那今天我们呢主要介绍两所学校，分别是宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校和因特维香港学校。OK， 下一张，谢谢。那么以下呢是我们今天的会议流程。首先呢，我们会介绍我们企业伊比斯和 Whisper 两家公司，接下来是开幕式，然后就是我们两间学校校长的介绍，当中有提问的环节，最后是家长关心的签证常见问题的解答。那我们的讲座将在5点前结束。好，下一章，企业伊比斯集团致力于实现可持续发展，并且在日常运作当中与盈利、人文、环境之间取得平衡。我们在为投资者提供合理回报的同时，竭力照顾环境及社会的需要，肩负社会企业责任。集团的主要业务包括人工智能科技、教育与出版社、健康科学、物业发展、物业投资，业务呢遍布全球。企业伊比斯致力于运用科技提升学习的体验，激发学习兴趣，培养科学的学习习惯，让全球学生更便捷地获取优质的教育资源。伊比斯一直秉承世界顶尖名校规划之路，办理启航的服务理念，致力于为全球家庭提供专业的国际教育咨询服务。我们全面评估学生的综合能力，为其制定个性化的培训计划，提供针对性的课外活动的指导，帮助学生达成梦想目标。好，那么下一章。那么对于来香港上学的任何的学生呢，企业伊比斯呢都会提供线上或者线下的评估和面试，对学生进行评估，并且根据这个评估报告为他制定合适的升学方案。好，下一页。Whisper 是全港第一家集齐教育和亲子产品的资讯平台，有超过5000间教育机构及亲子产品的资讯，包括学校、教育中心、升学顾问、游乐场、假日营地、医疗保健、慈善机构及儿童相关产品和服务等等。好，接下来我们本次讲座呢也特别鸣谢以下机构的支持。OK， 下一页。好了，事不宜迟，今天呢，我们接下来介绍第一间学校——宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校。它是香港九龙塘基督教中华宣道会创办的第一所国际学校，今年正迈向了30周年。学校多年来推动道德商数教育，培育学生建立良好人格品质。近年来，学生更翻新了校园和采用加拿大阿伯达双语学制，让学生在多元的学习环境下学习丰富的知识，对海外升学的衔接呢比本地的传统学校更灵活。那么接下来呢，我们也有请我们第一位主讲嘉宾许陈甘华博士，他是宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校的校长。刘平斋呢是一所位于香港的国际小学。那么许博士呢，他从事教育工作超过25年，他的研究重点呢是学生的健康及领导。自2016年开始，他发表了多篇的研究论文。好，那接下来时间我交给 Jennifer 来用英文来介绍一下我们的学校和校长。谢谢 Jennifer。
Thank you, Vivian. Our first speaker today is Dr. Cora Hui, who's the head of school for Christian Alliance P.C. Lau Memorial International School, which is a bilingual primary international school in Hong Kong. Dr. Hui has been an educator for over 25 years. Her research focus has been on servant leadership and learners' wellness and has published multiple research papers since 2016. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Cora Hui to share your presentation slides and start off with your presentation on Christian Alliance. Thank you very much. Dr. Hui?
Hi, everyone. 你们好. So now I think I will share screen or will I?
Yes.
Okay, I can share screen. That's good.
Yes, you can share your slides. Thank you.
Okay. So I want to see if everybody has seen this properly. Let me see if I can just make sure. Sorry, let me just make sure I get to the right page. I was just testing my screen and then I just happened to be on the last page. So let me just quickly go to the front and I'll try again. Sorry for the little mistake.
No worries.
Yeah, very good. 大家好，你们好. My name is Dr. Cora Hui and I have been educated from Canada. Today I want to share with you a little bit about the Christian Alliance P.C. Lau Memorial International School. We are located in Kowloon City, Hong Kong. Okay, so let me see if I can. Okay, yes. All right, so I'd like to share with you our school is in Kowloon City, Hong Kong, and we are actually organized by our school sponsoring body from Kowloon Tong Alliance Church. And this church has already been in Hong Kong establishing many schools for over 60 years because its vision is to really bring forth education into the life of learners. And they think that is so important that to cultivate good citizens for our future. So if you take a look at our school, we were established in 1992 as the first international school by the school sponsoring body CAPCL. The school has closed down for renovation in 2017, and that is because we really want to do good education with good quality. So during the time when we close, we have renovated the school to make it purposeful for young learners, to make the learning to be meaningful and fun. We reopened the school in 2020. In August 2020, we reopened the school. Our school is purposefully tailor-made for children 5 years old in preparatory up to grade 6. We celebrate our 30th anniversary last year. You can see in this page that, we have formed the letter, the digit 30 with all of our families. We are a small community. When we add all of our families together with our children, currently we have 260 families joining our school. And I think this is very good for young learners because in a small learning community, our children get a lot of attention from their teachers, also from the families. That means not just their own daddy and mommy, but also their friends' daddy, mommy. And that is so important for young learners that they get the attention they need and we can help them when they need help. I want to share with you our school logo that looks like quite vibrant, colorful. This is actually a tree planted by the streams of water. And you see, it is a tree with leaves that doesn't wither. Just like in Hong Kong, we can see lots of plantation always in Hong Kong in all season. And the leaf will not wither. Whatever it does will prosper. We believe that is the same in philosophy of education. We want to see our children flourishing, not when they're 18 years old, but when they start coming to school at 5 years old, 6 years old, their leaves will not wither. They will bring life and dynamic vibration into everyone's around them. And we want to see that they will bear fruit as they grow older. Fruits that could be their character building, it could be what they learn, their skills and their mindset. And that is what we want to see. We believe that education is not just about knowledge transfer. It is about holistic education. At CAPCL, we see holistic education with 4 domains. That is about cultivating the heart for learning. We want them to have positive attitude, and we are concerned with their wellness. As you have heard from the introduction, I have done some research on how we can help children to learn well. And that comes with the heart, and the heart with a grateful heart and a willing heart. We want children to learn not because of extrinsic motivation, whether it is a sticker or some avoidance of punishment. We want them to enjoy learning because learning in itself is rewarding, and that requires the participation of families and school working together. The children will have a grateful heart for everything we have provided for them, and that helps them to have a good mental mindset. We also want to work with children with different habits. Children will be ready for learning if they have good rest, if they have good diet, and also when they have enough exercise. You will see that in our school, we have lots of space for children to running around, building social skills, because we believe they will build good habits with adequate amount of physical activity, with healthy diet, and also quality sleep. These are habits. They form the foundation for our children to flourish. And of course, we want to stimulate their thinking to be creative and critical thinker. That is the head domain. And lastly is the hands. We want them to use their hands for connecting and for collaborating with others. And you can see with the 4H approach to holistic education, I mentioned to you the 4 C's. That is creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and also communication. You know, these are the 4 C's of the 21st century learning profile, and that is so important for our children. And when they come to CAPCL, this is what we are targeting in doing with them. What do we see? We see as a tree, you know, it requires the people around to do the work diligently. So we are providing the environment, whether it's families or the school, the teachers. We are providing the environment for the tree to flourish. We believe when we are faithful in doing all the work we do, our children will be fruitful. They will grow with wisdom and stature, with favor with God and man, and it will extend in God's kingdom. And what we want to do in every day, we want our children to be the good example in the word that they say, in the action that they do. We have our vision to be so clear for our children because they can evaluate every day when they go to school and when they go home. Are they being a good example, a good ambassador in the work that they do, in the word that they say? And very important, as I started from the foundation, it is about the heart. This is the motivation for our work and for our word. And we want our children to do it out of love for others, out of a purity of intent, and out of being faithful in what they are asked to do. In Hong Kong, you will find out that there are many choices of international school curriculum. Some international schools offer UK curriculum, some international schools offer US curriculum, Australia curriculum, and even Canadian curriculum. But why CAPCL choose the Canadian curriculum? Because number one, all these curriculum that I have mentioned to you are English-speaking curriculum. But Canada is the only one I found that as it's an English-speaking curriculum, it actually can do it bilingually. And it's not only because we're in Hong Kong. In Canada, in the city of Edmonton, can you imagine just one city, just like Hong Kong is a city in China, Edmonton is a city in Canada, and in itself, there are 13 other schools in the land of Canada. They are actually every day having children learning in Mandarin and English. And when I go there, I'm from Canada, so I have an opportunity to go to these schools and see how they run their school. They are children who may not be Chinese. They actually go to the school with the environment. They can actually speak fluently in English and Mandarin. They actually learn Mandarin, they learn mathematics in Mandarin. They may actually do their music lesson in Mandarin, and they are not English, they're not Chinese. And I was very amazed to see that Canada is willing to invest so much of the taxpayer money to develop the curriculum that is bilingual. And it is not just recently, they actually have bilingual Chinese and English schools for the last 35 years. So if you go to the website and find out, this is very much of a credible way of teaching an international curriculum, and it is workable, especially in Hong Kong. I want to let you know, of course, in Canada, because everything else when they're leaving the school is mainly in English, that's why they do it 50-50. At CAPCL, we actually have majority of the time that children will be learning in English. 65% of the day, children will be having their lessons taught in English. But 35% of the day, the children will be learning in Mandarin Putonghua. And we use the traditional script because in Hong Kong, when they leave school, when they're walking on the streets, when they go to restaurant, when they go to community center, they have opportunity to be reading traditional script. And that is the reinforcement of their learning so that they're more used to living in Hong Kong and enjoying their time living in Hong Kong. So I mentioned, in addition to Chinese, we also teach our children mathematics with Chinese and English. So guess what? They're not just learning in one language, they're learning mathematics in both Chinese and English. And we found the reason in Canada they're doing it this way is there are lots and lots of advantage when children are young that they learn Chinese as a part of the math learning. Can you imagine in English when we talk about 11, when we talk about 12, it is just words. But when we speak it in Mandarin, they understand it's 10-1, 10-2, 10-3. You can see when you are learning Mandarin, it's actually building their foundation in the math concept. And as the children progress to upper primary, we have the children to know these terms in both English and Chinese. It helps them as they progress to high school. There will be no problem whether they go to a bilingual or just regular international secondary school. So we are purposely making our children ready for the future. In addition to mathematics, we also have other specialty subjects that are being rotated in Chinese and English. You know why? Children learn language and have to appreciate the culture. And children cannot learn culture by reading a book. They can learn culture by experience. When they listen to Chinese music, they would have an understanding how that is very different from Western music. When they look at the art, the calligraphy, when they play different sport, they will understand the East and the West culture. And with doing that, they actually build their appreciation for Chinese culture and Western culture. And that is more than just language learning. I mentioned these are the subjects. There are 10 different subjects that children will be learning in school: English, Chinese, mathematics, science, social study. They also have other subjects like arts, music, Bible, health, and physical education. And that is a complete curriculum to help children to develop all areas so that they are well-rounded. I want to show you a little bit of our school calendar or school timetable. We are full day school. We have children coming in very early in the morning at 8 o'clock. They would have blocks of time to learn English and then another blocks of time to learn Mandarin. You see, I highlighted the mathematics and Chinese that is being taught in Mandarin. So every day in the morning when they're fresh, wake up from the day, they actually have concentrated time learning English and Mandarin. And in the afternoon, we had lots of fun. We have different activity, whether it's art, music, PE, or health, or Bible lesson. It is all about interactive experiential learning. We also ending the day with science and social study, and that is a lot of project-based learning, a lot of socializing with one another in small group. The school day will end at 3:30. But of course, at school, we also have extracurricular activity that start at 3:45 until 5 o'clock. So there are children who will stay and they will do different activity from sport, music, art, or chess, or different things. So it's good to see children enjoy learning, enjoy coming to the school, and we spend a full day spending time together, and that is very good. Now, I spent a lot of time to convince you, even though you're considering international school, you need to look at the possibility of a bilingual education. That means not just a lot of time in English, but to help the children to also build their fluency in Mandarin, because there are lots of research showing bilingual brains are having a lot of advantages than in many ways. For example, research shows that people who learn 2 languages always will have an opportunity to focus well. They also build a greater memory banks because you can see they will know the same word in 2 different ways, and they're training to be focused to see the difference, as well as building all these new vocabularies in the memory. So it is in the process helping them to focus better as they study, also help them to expand their memory ability. If you think about when you learn and think about math, English and Chinese, lots of times they're very different. How would you write the address in Chinese? You will write the continent, you will write the country, then you will write the province, you write the city, you write the district, the street, the building, the floor, and the unit. But you realize the Western way is completely reversed. We write down the apartment number, the building number, and the street, and so on. As the children in an environment that emphasize both equally important, children learn to look at everything more than one way. Eventually, they are more open-minded as they come to problem solving. They're not only thinking one way to solve the problem, there are multiple ways. Think about direction. When we talk about where you live, you can say that southeast, but Chinese way will say it the opposite way. You can see there's so many examples you can find that the West and the East are very different in the ways of thinking. And when children learn 2 languages with equal importance and emphasize, that children will develop better problem-solving skills because their mindset is more flexible, and that is important. If you're interested to apply to CAPCL, you will wonder, if you go to the website, you will click and find the link. And once you apply and provide the admission fee of $1,500 and submitting the document, we will process your application. I love children, so everyone who apply, I will meet them in person. I love talking with children. I love seeing their eyes because always children are full of hope, and that is so good to see them. So I look forward to having you apply and I can see your child. If you're thinking about coming to school, you need to budget. I want to let you know this slide is showing to you the fees as a 1-year fee, and that is in 10 installments. You don't have to pay it all at once. You have to do it in 10 different months. You're right. In summer, you don't go to school and we do not collect fee, and that is good. And if you happen to have more than one child, we want to share the burden with you. So of course, the first child, there's no discount. If you have second child, third child, and even the fourth child, I know your burden is heavy. We will share that with you. Your second child will have a 10% discount, third child with 15% discount, and the fourth child, we have 20% discount. So that is good if you send your kids to our school. They also have the same calendar, so it's easy for you to plan your holidays. I want to get you to see the age guide. So you say, well, which grade should my child come in? So depending on the year of birth. So if your child is born in the year of 2017, they are 5 years old, they will be ready to come for preparatory and so on for grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and grade 5. That's about my sharing with you. And I want to end it with this couplet that I believe that for parents and for us, school and the children, learning is a journey. It never stops. But learn and grow is important. Nobody can just stop learning in God's love. And we use what we learn to contribute and serve and flourish. When our children apply what they learn to bless other people, they flourish. And that is important. We want to see our children are responsible citizens and they flourish, they beam with the sunshine. And that is so important for us as parents and educators to have the trust that our children are our future. So that's what I want to share with you. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cora Hui. That was a wonderful presentation. I feel I'm learning every time I speak to you or every time you present. Thank you for joining us today. So the next thing is we will move to Q&A session. We'll start off in English first with the question, and then Dr. Hui, if you can answer in English, and then followed by the Mandarin translation by my partner here, Vivian. And then so we will start off with the first question now. So for the first thing, we know that Christian Alliance P.C. Lau Memorial International School, CAPCL, is very deeply rooted with the Christian faith in your vision, mission, and educational beliefs. At the same time, the school teaches a Canadian curriculum with the focus on international mindedness that values and appreciates cultural diversity. As Hong Kong consists of a community of various cultures and religions, may I ask if children with different religious beliefs will have to accept the Christian faith as well, or if diversity of faiths are also widely accepted by the school? Can you demonstrate or share some examples of this, please?
That's correct. We welcome all children coming to our school. I think the Christian faith is a very safe and welcoming faith-based school environment for children. We don't need them to be Christians to come in, but we will use a lot of stories and a lot of our teachings will be helping them to see how they can be a person with love and kindness and self-control, and that is important for us. In our school, we have policy clearly laid out that is the goal that we want to do. And all of our families, when they are admitted to our school, they will be provided with a handbook to outline our school code of conduct. All of our children are welcome, and we expect everyone to respect one another with dignity, respect, and fairness. And all members of the community are responsible for respecting diversity, and we are refraining from demonstrating any form of discrimination. Let me give you some examples. During our school year, we have different activities, different school events. Just at the end of September, when we just start getting to know our kids, and after 1 month, we had an Orange Shirt Day. An Orange Shirt Day is a day that we want to share with all of our students that every child matters. It doesn't matter where you are from. We all have to be accepting one another's difference. We look at our strengths. We look at how we can complement each other. We look at how we can show kindness to one another. And that is always a day where we do different activities, and through playing, children memorize and remember what they learn. And at the end of the day, everybody remember. Every child matters. So they know that they matter. We want our children to build with confidence that they matter to our community. But we also want them to know others also matter in the community. So we need to have acceptance. We have to celebrate diversity. And in October, we just had an International Day. You know, in Hong Kong, we just started to open the border, but our children at that time were still having the thinking that if they leave Hong Kong and they come back, they will have to have quarantine. But we have a passport for them, and I can show you in my screen. We have a CAPCL passport, and in this passport, we allow children to travel to different countries throughout the day, and that is set up at different space in our school. And as children go to different countries, what we emphasize is that every different country has their unique culture. And we are learning the differences, and we are seeing that it's so fun to know others' culture. And I think that helped the children to build a mindset to be international mindedness. They know that I am Chinese, I'm rooted in my culture, but I'm open-minded to learn other culture, and that's very important. Later on in the year, we have a Pink Shirt Day, and a Pink Shirt Day is a day that we celebrate kindness to one another. It is a day that all of us students are making the commitment of anti-bullying. I understand that bullying can be a topic that parents worry a lot at school. They send the children to school, they want the children to be happy, and they don't want them to be bullied. And in our school, we make it public that all of our children know that this is a place, it is anti-bullying, and we want to support that and helping our children to remember, you wear a pink shirt to school, we support anti-bullying. And those are just 3 of the many examples that in our school that we celebrate diversity. And I hope that answered to your question.
Great, thank you very much. It's very clear. I would like to invite Vivian to do a quick summary in Mandarin for us for the question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you， 我们的许博士啊，我们刚刚完成了第1个问题。那么我们的提问是：基督教宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校在您的这个愿景、使命和教育信念以及目标中深深植根于这个基督教的信念。与此同时呢，学校呢会教授加拿大的课程，重点是重视和欣赏文化多样性的这种国际情怀。那么香港呢，也是一个多元化和宗教的社会。那么请问有没有不同？请问如果有不同宗教信仰的孩子，他们是否必须接受基督教的信仰呢？或者是学校是否也广泛接受其他的信仰？然后也请许博士举一下例子来分享。许博士的回答是这样的，他非常欢迎所有的学生你不必是基督教的然后呢，其实是学校通过教师来培养孩子的这种自控的能力，以及培养孩子的自信。那么每一位入学的孩子呢，学校会给他一个手册，这个手册呢是指明了学校的这个政策指南和规程，让孩子们去遵守。同时的话呢，对于孩子们非常着重，就他们很看重的一个尊严、尊重和公平呢，也是体现在我们这个手册当中的。然后呢，许博士刚刚举了3个例子，一个呢是9月底的时候有一个叫橙色衬衫日，那么这个呢是加拿大的法定节日，来表彰加拿大印第安人寄宿学校系统的这个传承，它尊重土著人民的这个经历，庆祝这种坚韧力就是这个复原力，并且对于每个孩子来说非常重要的这种承诺。那在我们通过玩的这个游戏，让学生会去记住怎么样去建立这个自信，也通过孩子对自己和别人表达这个善意来体现我们来体现我们学校的这个系统。 那第二个呢，就是我们有一个叫 International Day， 就是国际日，这个呢是庆祝文化多样性的。这个是在10月底的时候，孩子们有一个非常好的一个经历啊，每个孩子有一本护照，那么他们拿着这个护照呢，去旅行了不同的国家，那着重的是让孩子们去学习不同文化的特性，通过这种非常有趣的这种形式，让孩子们形成这种国际化的思维，让他们用更开放的心态去学习其他的文化。那第三个呢，就是我们这个粉红色的衬衫日。那么粉红色的衬衫日呢，也是1年1度的活动，它会在加拿大和世界其他地方举行。那么所有人呢会穿上这个粉红色的衬衫呢，来反对这个欺凌。那么在刘平斋学校呢，我们是相信通过善待别人和自己呢，来达到这个提升彼此的这个期待啊。所以的话呢，因为每一位家长也不希望他们的孩子被受到欺凌，所以呢，我们通过这样的活动来支持和帮助孩子去善待自己和善待别人。好了，接下来时间交给 Jennifer， 我们进行第二个提问。
Thank you very much, Vivian. Moving on to the second question, Dr. Hui, at CAPCL, I understand that English and Chinese are taught in the proportion of 65% and 35% respectively under the Albert education system at the school. Are children in the school streamed into different bands of English and Chinese abilities as some of the other bilingual IB schools? Also, for students graduating from CAPCL, what qualifications or diplomas will they graduate with? Will graduates have a higher priority entering sister schools like Christian Alliance International School secondary after?
Great, thank you for your questions. We are a bilingual school, and our children will finish in grade 6. And yes, we are using whatever the Alberta Canadian program will have. So they will receive a recognition that they finish with the Alberta Canadian program up to grade 6. And we also want to say about banding, we do not stream our children by banding. We believe that when children with different abilities study in an inclusive environment with learning support on the outside, all children will flourish. So whether it's in the English learning or the Mandarin learning, our children will learn together in the class setting. We only divide the classes by their social ability, but not by their academic ability. Because as I mentioned, that holistic education does not only focus on one thing. We want to see our children working together and flourish together. You asked a question about where do they go after they finish with us in grade 6. You're right. The church, our school sponsoring body, do have more than one school. We are a school that only focus on elementary education, and we are the only one that is bilingual. And we do it this way is because we believe for young learner, a small campus will help them to build close relationship. In our school, everybody know one another because there's only 2 to 3 classes, and each class is only 20 children. So they actually know other students by name. It's not just someone in the school. Nobody is a number here. Everybody has a special, unique position in the heart of the head of school. So that is important for young people to be learning in a small setting. When they're graduating from our school with a bilingual learning environment, they will have competent and confident to go further. Let's say go into our sister school. We have such a close relationship. We are also operated by the same school sponsoring body. So what happened is that they will have priorities, meaning that everyone graduating from CAPCL can apply with a guaranteed interviews. In addition, it will also be done earlier than all the public application, meaning that we will know the result earlier. And I think that is important for parents to know. You know, if I might apply to this school, how long do I have to wait to know whether I will get the result? It's just like, you know, when some parents thinking about the children's apply to university, it's like getting an early acceptance and early notice is always a good idea. So when they graduating from CAPCL and apply to our sister school, we have a similar arrangement that they will know the result earlier as well, that all of them will receive the interview. Now, in a lot of schools, you apply, you may or may not get an interview, but if they're graduating from CAPCL, they will get an interview.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much. I think that's a very good insight for parents out there who are looking at secondary school at Christian Alliance International School. Definitely CAPCL is something you have to consider. So it's good to know that you have guaranteed interviews and it's kind of like an early decision process where you know the early results as well. So I would like to invite Vivian to please summarize the question and answer in Mandarin. Thank you very much, Vivian.
Thank you, Jennifer and Dr. Cora. OK 我们非常感谢许博士哈。刚刚第二个问题的提问是在刘平斋，我了解到在学校的阿伯达教育系统下，英语和中文的那个教学比例分别为65%和35%。那么学校里面的孩子是不是会像其他的一些双语学校一样，会区分为不同的英语和汉语的水平呢？那第二个问题呢是，对于从刘平斋毕业的学生，他们将获得什么样的文凭或者资格呢？毕业以后是否会优先进入姐妹学校？比如说这个宣道会的国际中学。好，许博士的回答是这样的，刘平斋我们的这个教育体制啊，除了中文科以外呢，我们都是用普通话去教数学和这个其他的这些科目。然后呢，每一个孩子他们在6年级毕业以后呢，其实他们都掌握了非常好的这个英语和汉语的能力。然后的话呢，我们学校不会对孩子进行这个分等级的，因为我们是非常相信孩子我们是对孩子也是非常的包容。那么所有的学生都是一起在学习。我们去评价孩子的这个学习能力，并不是靠这个分数，而是我们更加看重这个社交能力，也就是大家共同合作的这种。大家一起学习共同合作的这种能力。那我们的专注呢是更在于孩子和别人和同伴之间建立这个亲密的这种关系。那么我们会通过2到3堂课呢去让孩子从每个人身上去学习，就learn for each other， 从各自学习，而不是我们用这个分数或者用数字来去标榜每一个孩子。那么我们的孩子他们通过这个双语的教学的话呢，他们在毕业的时候，他们的能力是足以让他们进到更好的学校里面去。那么每一个毕业生只要从我们宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校毕业以后，他们是保证有这个面试的机会，是去到我们的姊妹学校，比如说宣道会国际中学的。然后呢，每一个孩子呢，每一个申请者呢，也会比其他的那个申请者更早的知道他们是不是会录取，因为这也是很多家长非常关心的一个问题。当他们提交了申请以后，他们非常关心什么时候可以知道这个结果。那么只要你是从刘平斋毕业的话呢，你是有这个早知道的这个权利的。好，谢谢。我们进行第3个问题的提问。
Thank you, Vivian. Moving on to our last question, Dr. Hui. In terms of admission, what are the top 3 attributes that you look for in a candidate? I'm sure a lot of parents would like to know, what is the interview and assessment process like? Is there a preference for local Hong Kong and China passport holders?
Very good question. What are we looking for? We are looking for children who are playful. They love to play. They love to interact with others. So I would say that the attribute that we can see that not just our children, but working with the parents, and not just on the day of admission, but throughout the time that they're here, I would say that we want our children to be having the attribute of being competent and confident. And they're responsible and self-motivated, because I think this is about lifelong learning. It goes with our school ethos and education philosophy. We want them to have a good foundation, so it's responsible and self-motivated. We want them to flourish, so they need to be competent and confident. Now, what do we do when you apply? we will first make sure that we have all the information about the child. So we will prepare for the interview, we'll welcome them to the interview. Usually in the interview, we meet in a group, we do activities together, and we want to see how the children are working together with us. And then we just want to enjoy one another, because that is a school setting, whether they feel comfortable, whether they feel that they can enjoy and relax. So we play together, and through play, that I want to see how well they participate. And when they participate well in the playtime, then last question, did you have, passport. As I said in the first question, we have no particular interest to know where the passport and what nationality or what faith-based background, but we want everybody to come with a welcome and safe and inclusive education. So yes, if you are interested to nurture the child with us, we are happy to receive your application.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Hui. That was very helpful. And I'd like to invite Vivian, please summarize in Mandarin for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 第三个问题是在录取方面，你在这个申请者身上会比较看重的3个特性是什么呢？这个面试和评估的过程是怎么样的？那么本地香港或者是中国护照的持有人会有优惠吗？OK， 许博士的回答是，我们其实是欢迎所有的孩子，因为我们学校，孩子们的性情是在游戏、学习和日常当中向我们去展示的。我们对学习的过程的价值观是通过游戏和参与，我们相信呢，这会激发孩子们的可能性。那么学校呢，还在我们日常的这种学习当中强调这种创造性的思维、批判性的思维、沟通和协作。那么我们是希望培养我们的学生有自信、有能力、有责任心和上进心的这个学生。OK， 那么我们也是希望孩子有一个好的这个基础。我们的面试是怎么样的呢？我们是通过一个小组，通过一些活动，然后这个活动当中，我们可以看到这个孩子怎么样去跟别人一起合作。只要我们发现这个孩子在这个玩的过程当中，他是非常的舒服，他表现得非常的自信，他玩得非常好，他非常享受。那么我们认为这个孩子是非常适合我们学校的。那另外的话，最后一个问题就是我们不限制你拥有什么的护照，或者是来自哪个国家和民族，因为我们学校是非常包容性的。如果家长感兴趣，只要你提交申请的话呢，我们是非常的欢迎的刚才在讲座当中 Dr. Cora 也是提到他是亲自去面试孩子们的 OK， 所以呢也希望非常的开心，谢谢
Thank you, Dr. Hui. So for any parents with additional questions, please do send it to us, and we will then forward on to Dr. Hui. In the respect of time right now, we will move on to our second school, which is Invictus School, and we will have Mr. Christopher Jackson presenting. I would like to invite Vivian to do the introduction in Mandarin first. Vivian, thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Jennifer. 那么接下来呢，我们开始介绍第2间学校，叫中文名字叫英特维香港学校。那么这个学校呢，提供独特的课程，它是为数不多的在中学提供 IGCSE 和 A Level 课程的国际学校之一。那么学生从幼儿园到13年级，也就是3岁到18岁。那么学校是使用享誉全球的新加坡幼儿园和小学数学课程框架，提供国际早教课程和国际小学的课程。而在台湾的英语中学呢，提供剑桥初中 IGCSE 和 A Level 的课程。那么其中2年的 IGCSE 是为英国和进一步的国际教育做准备的，2年的 A Level 呢是可以让孩子轻松过渡到英国顶尖大学和世界各地的许多学院。那么我们今天的主讲嘉宾呢是 Mr. Chris Jackson， 他在英国长大，在那里呢他就读于埃普森学院，后来获得了牛津大学的教学资格。1990年代他移居香港，此后呢在各种大小的学校和机构担任教学和管理职务，英语媒介和双语。他了解到家庭在寻求个性化教育的时候面临的挑战和机遇，但其视角和抱负呢是全球性的。作为一名教育工作者Mr. Chris Jackson非常重视这个广泛而全面的课程，并且着眼于未来，为孩子们的成功做好准备。他相信孩子们在自我激励和参与时学得最好， 他一直在与父母和社区合作的创造性和关怀的空间中，促进对孩子们相关有意义的学习。他说：“作为学校的创始校长，我感到非常荣幸，在这所学校中领导着一支不断壮大的专业团队。该团队以其严格的英语和普通话双语课程、高质量的教学、令人兴奋的学习和自信的学习者而闻名。”好，接下来时间交给 Jennifer， 谢谢。
Thank you, Vivian. I'd like to introduce Mr. Christopher Jackson, who's the principal of primary and secondaries of Invictus School Hong Kong. Mr. Jackson grew up in England, where he attended Epsom College and later gained his teaching qualification from the University of Oxford. In the 1990s, he moved to Hong Kong, and he has held teaching and management roles in a variety of schools and institutions ever since, large and small, English medium and bilingual. He understands the challenges and opportunities for families as they look for an education which is personal in its delivery, yet global in its perspective and ambition. As an educator, Mr. Jackson values a curriculum which is broad and holistic and looks to the future to prepare children for success. He believes children learn best when they are self-motivated and engaged, and he has always promoted learning which is relevant and meaningful for the children themselves, in spaces which are creative and caring, and in partnership with parents and the community. It's a real privilege being the founding principal of Invictus School, leading a growing team of dedicated professionals in a school becoming known for its rigorous bilingual curriculum in English and Mandarin, high quality teaching, exciting learning, and confident learners. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Jackson to please share your slides and start your presentation. Thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I've got a colleague who's actually helping me share the presentation. I'll give him a moment to put it up. I think he's got it now. I think he's got it now.
Great.
Parents and WISPA colleagues, good afternoon. It's the end of the week. I think this is my last task of a busy week, and I hope to share with you a lot about what Invictus is about. And I think one of the things you might notice is, Dr. Hoy and I have chatted a couple of times actually, but there are some things that are the same in different schools. A real desire to help children and to move them along, to give them a lovely educational environment at the time. How different schools do that does vary a little bit, so we all have our differences. But I think educations are always about supporting children. Parents are always looking at us. That's the part. Anyway, I will begin my slides. Thank you, Donald. Can we jump on? Oh, super. Right. So who we are. Jennifer called me the founding principal, and 2019 seems like a long time ago now. So I'm not sure if I'm still the founding principal. I guess I'm the first one. And we began, and it's been an interesting start in Hong Kong these 3 years, but we have now grown to be a kindergarten, a primary, and a secondary school. So, you know, we're offering a through-train education. A1 all the way up to year 13. So, you know, that's what we are all about. Comprehensive package, if you will. And our kindergarten, our primaries are the students who are in Shanghai, and it's the older secondary students. Right now, actually. Right. Thanks, Donald. We are also part of something bigger in terms of sort of, I suppose, financial backing is really what I'm talking. We're part of a network of schools as well. So we're dotted around it in a few of the other countries in the Asia region. And Singapore is our sort of our founding location, our parent company sort of registered there. They are quite a large organization, giving us the financial support that the school needs to be a good, safe, long-term proposition. I talked about K1 to year 13. That's a long time looking for children to joining us. We've also noticed the past couple of years, it's a little sad that what this reason might be for. People are sometimes looking to move out of Hong Kong. So, you know, we are well connected with those other schools in those other countries. And, you know, our students get priority entry in Malaysia or Thailand and Cambodia, and so forth. And so do those students when they're coming to Hong Kong. I do hope lots of people keep coming to Hong Kong. All right, thanks, Donald. And sort of underpinning sort of who we are and what we are, it is all about sort of our vision and mission. And I won't read all of this, but I'll just pick out a couple of words I think are very important. Holistically, is something we're definitely looking at, very sort of global sort of education for our students. Lifelong learning, something Dr. Hoy said as well. And we're looking, we want to help our students, possibly your children, you know, create a better future world, whether that's this city where we are now, or possibly opportunities further afield. And that's what we're looking at. And on a more day-to-day basis, especially when we're talking with the younger ones, we've sort of got some values that also underpin everything. And the 6 values, there we go. I won't mention all. I think any parent would be disappointed if the principal of a school didn't talk about respect amongst children and helping children to be respectful of other cultures, countries, languages. And I think any parent always wants their child to have that ability to have another go, not get defeated, keep on going. And that's the resilience. But of course, you know, it's a tough world we're all preparing our children for, isn't it? And, you know, you want an excellent so they can go far. So the last one I'll mention here is excellence. Excellence, number 4. We hope we deliver excellent education. Students.
Sorry, Chris. I think your volume is somehow very soft. I don't know if it be closer to the computer.
Maybe. Oh, thank you. Let me move it a little bit closer. There we go.
Yeah, now it's good. Please continue. Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. Excellent. So children achieving excellence for their own sake and us delivering excellence for all of the students. Put all those values in. All right. So in Chung Kwan, the kindergarten and the primary, it's a fairly new building, just a couple of years ago now, but we've now sort of made it ourselves. It's a purpose-built, fully renovated, nice place. It's got classrooms, other rooms like a multi-purpose hall and a library, and so forth. And it's modern, which is very nice. But most importantly for such children, it's safe. It's a safe, secure place where children feel just that. Right, to learn comfortably as a young child, you need to feel safe and secure. And I would urge people, come and visit, come and have a look at this. The secondary school, Chaiwan, where I'm sitting now, right, a little bit more modern actually. 2 years ago, we renovated this one, all right. It's a slightly bigger place as well. It's got more classrooms. And because we are a secondary school, we start including other more specific learning spaces, such as fully equipped high-tech science labs for the chemistry students up in year 13 and things like that. So these are 2 spaces that are designed to help us deliver the education to students. And again, come and have a look for yourself. Open day in a couple of weeks. All right, thank you, Donald. Keep clicking on. All right, so one of the most important things has to be talk about children. I mentioned children feeling happy. But what are we actually teaching them? Because every school has a curriculum, and many of them overlap in some ways. Some of them have their uniqueness. So we look to the UK for our English program that we adapted, and we adapted hugely to meet the needs of children. Our maths program, that sort of comes from our parent organization, if you like. It's a Singapore-based approach, and sort of Singapore maths is quite famous around the world, isn't it? Sort of very high standards. And again, we adapt that approach to make it work for the students we've got here. And most importantly, well, not most importantly, but a very unique factor for us, I think, is the fact that in our primary and kindergarten years, we are a bilingual. So our Mandarin Chinese is taking up half of that time. And we have many children who come to our school with different levels of languages. Some are the first language, some are additional. So we're catering for those 2 groups as well. But a lot of our parents, I suppose probably all of our parents, they made a conscious decision to go down this bilingual education route because they've realized that this is where we are in this part of the world. And this is the future that they see for their children. And many of our families, one parent has come from one country, one parent has come from another country. So two languages are very important on a family basis. And the last part of our curriculum, it's not like four pieces. All of this overlaps. It's all wound together. It's something called IPC. It stands for International. And many parents might remember the science lesson in school, the geography lesson, something like that. But in our school, we don't have set lessons like that. All of those subjects, including other subjects like they are wound together in this theme-based approach. That makes it far more interesting for the students. It makes it far more exciting for the students. For example, there's a theme in year 3. It's called chocolate. If you tell the children we're going to spend 6 weeks learning about chocolate, they're all going to be super interested, aren't they? And of course, you can start thinking about how geography comes in there, where chocolate comes from, how science comes in there, solids, liquids, and things like that. That's how we're making a stimulate. So they're engaged, they're interested, they're involved, and they learn and progress. That's one of the biggest jobs for us to do, is to help them learn and progress. Right. And if we keep going on our curricular program, to that next slide, thank you. And this is how we split it up, excuse me, to deliver that bilingual. So in years 1 to 4, we really are taking an immersive approach where it's half the time in each of those 2 minutes to show that we really value them. And in years 5 and 6, we lean towards English a little bit, so about 70%. And the reason for this is, at that point, you're then looking ahead to secondary school. And most of our students stick with us and come to our own secondary school as part of our full train program, where our curricular program, our GCSEs, are English language qualifications. So that's why we have used English. And on the right-hand side, you'll see some of the sort of typical bilingual areas. Right? Maths has a very important side. Some children can find conceptually challenging sometimes. I was not the greatest math student myself. We do that mostly in English. But all the other things, we're trying to use the 2 languages to really give that immersive approach. And really to give both languages the same cultural value as part of our school. So for example, yesterday afternoon, our school assembly, where we celebrated lots of different things, was led by the vice principal. Whereas next we might, and I'll lead it in English. So children really recognize the 2 languages are treated. And I think that's a very important sort of aspect of the way we sort of deliver our curriculum. And we've realized that's a very important thing for our parents as well. And if we keep going. Dr. Hoy talked about school being an enjoyable and fun place. And we want that as well. And we don't want it to be students feel great. So when we are talking about assessment in our school, we want to know how the students are doing, what they can already do, what they're ready for next. And that really is what they are ready for as a personal individual. Not what a curriculum says they should be learning in year 3. They're ready to move forward to something else. That's great, and we're going to help them with it. But if they're not finding something so easy, maybe they are a little bit behind where a typical student. We don't mind that either. It's all about moving them forward. So our assessment is not about sort of high-pressure exams. It's about finding out in different ways where a child is at with their skills, with their knowledge. So we're not a rote learning type of school. Doing that in different ways, working with the students, keeping the parents informed. And that's how we move things forward. naturally secondary starts doing it in different ways. Any school has home learning, and then when all our schools got closed, it got a bit confusing, didn't it? You know, when was home learning and when was homework and when was school? We sort of use home learning. It's a time to sort of complement what's going on in the classroom, but it's a time to do it in different ways and help parents get involved in it. Now, of course, there's some things which is really important we do on a regular basis. Things like reading, a little bit, daily basis. So we build up some aspects to help have that sort of homeschool connection, because there's lots of research that tells us how when home and school are well connected, and when teachers and parents take similar approaches to teaching things or how they are learned, that helps children achieve. Sometimes we also do it in a very different way, where we have a homework program that's got loads of flexibility. We know Hong Kong parents are busy people, right? And sometimes people want to wait till the weekend to do it, and it doesn't have to be done the next day. So we're quite a bit different to other schools. And I think that's something to be said. All right, thank you. Can we keep going on, Dol? Thank you so much. Now, it's been a tough time the past few years, but things are getting a little better. So we are now beginning our sort of program where we're going beyond the classroom, learning outside the classroom, where we bring in different sorts of activities. Sometimes they're traditional ECAs in school, after school hours. You'll see academic, music and drama options I mentioned there. And these are all beginning to come back in our school. We always had them planned, right? But also more exciting things where children are out and about in the great outdoors. I've been talking to students today about something they're going to do in December, where they're going on these team building exercises out in the countryside, where they're sort of building sort of bamboo shelters, imagining they were sort of stuck on a mountainside overnight, learning to work together, building up soft skills like that, making it all different. It's not just being in a classroom. Okay? And looking forward to this. The highlighter at the end of term in December. Right? Keep going, Joel. Thanks. Right, I'll talk a little bit more about secondary. So secondary is year 7 to year 13. Now, year 7, 8, 9 is very much a similar curriculum. Right? Now, we use the Cambridge Lower Secondary Program. I think many parents have heard about the Cambridge Program internationally. It's all about a solid foundation across a broad range of subjects. Year 7 is very much about building on this primary years, helping children adjust to a new style of sort of learning in the secondary years, where they're interacting with many more different subject teachers, but the breadth is still there, just like it is in the primary level. That goes through years 7, 8, and 9. Many of our students join us in year 7 from our primary school. But lots join us from the local sector, where they might join us in year 8 and in 6. We're able to take students both of those two jumping points, and we invest a lot of time in a successful transition, both for the students and the parents as well. If they're coming from a different type of school, we want them to ease into our school, learn how it works, and we spend a lot of time explaining that so people feel safe and secure. And then after year 7, 8, 9, we go into the GCSEs. There are many schools in Hong Kong doing IB programs. The number of doing IGCSE is not so wide, but it's a very good program, and we're using the Cambridge program. It's a 2-year program leading to a set of exams or coursework at the end of 2 years. Internationally recognized as well. Hong Kong parents are usually well informed. This is the point where some students start narrowing their focus. Some students might lean towards more art subjects. Some students might be leaning towards more science subjects. All students keep studying maths, and English, and we do Chinese in our school. But then it becomes optional whether it's 3 sciences or 2 sciences. Do they do art? We're offering a good range of subjects, including music, computer science, things like that. So a 2-year program, and that leads into 12 and 13, where it's A levels and AS levels. AS levels is like the qualification you get after year 12. And students would normally do 3 or 4. The second year, students might drop one of those subjects, take 3 of them a little bit further and get the second part of the qualification. This really is when students are a lot more selective. The difference between, say, an arts direction or a science direction or maybe a language direction is very clear. This is when students are thinking about what do they want to study? What do they want to be when they grow up? Of course, I think as many parents know, a lot of students are in school now. They're not going to do what I've done, is basically have one job for my entire life. I've always been a teacher and then a principal. Many of these students have lots of different jobs. We want to make sure and we help them move towards the universities. We complement it with their qualification with the IPQ, which is a little like the sort of TOK aspect of it. It's quite different as well, and it's a really good preparation for the different type of study that students find when they head off to university. And many Hong Kong parents and Hong Kong students, they're not just thinking about university, they really are thinking about university. Lots of global opportunity. I think Jennifer mentioned in my introduction, that is really what I'm looking for students in school. Global students. We keep going, Donald. Thank you. Right, so coming to our school. First of all, depending on when you come to the school, the admissions process is a little bit different. But it's all about finding out what a student's strengths are and whether we are the best place for them. So down with the youngest students in years 1 or 2, we are very much doing age-appropriate assessments. We're trying to do them in a more sort of social way. Next week, for example, we've got about 10 students coming to year 1, where they will have an opportunity to play together and then have a talk with the teacher and do little maths games and English games and Chinese games as well, so we can find out how they're getting on. We're not trying to make them jump through high pressure and see how much they have remembered and how much they can years. Once we move into the older primary schools, they start doing a little more reading and a little more writing, and start looking more at the 2 languages. You don't have to speak both languages to come to Invictus. We need one language so students can access it, understand what's going on in our school, and make friends, be part of our school community. Our job is then to help students learn that other language or keep learning both those languages to become really effective bilingual communicators, bilingual learners by the end of this. Once we move into secondary school, years 7 to 13, as you can guess, sort of the types of testing and assessment starts being a little more formal. The secondary school is not bilingual. We still value Chinese, and all students study Chinese to GCSE. That's years 7 to 11. But it's no longer bilingual. So the level can be a little bit different. Some GCSE students second language or even additional language in some of them. And you can see on the screen some of the other tests that we do use. But again, we try and do it in a personal way. It includes an interview between teacher and student to find out about students personally, and just trying to find out, let the students show their best ability to see that this is the right school for them. We are trying to show that what we are. choosing a school is very much a matching exercise. I'd love it if every parent chooses Invictus. But I also know that we don't always offer what every parent wants. I hope I'm being honest and showing what Invictus is. And if you as a parent think that will suit me or that will suit my children, then please get in touch. Some parents are looking for other things. That's absolutely fine because every child is different. So schools need to be a little bit different to meet those different needs, don't they? You can't meet every different type of educational program. As many. All right, thank you, Donna. There we go. And that's a little summary of the sort of process. And certainly in the primary years, and probably lower secondary as well, you don't just have to join our school at the beginning of the academic year, which is in late August through to June. You can join at different times. We always help people transition. But once you get up to those GCSE years, that's years 10 and 11, or 12 and 13 A-levels, right? If you are transferring from a different education system, you probably have to join at the beginning of that too. But of course, if you were coming from another GCSE school, you would be able to join ours. Subject choice. You can see our school fees there. One of the things we sort of describe our school as is being an affordable school. That's still quite a lot of money. Of course, I'd love to find that sort of money in my back pocket, but we are an affordable school in comparison to many of the other international schools. You know, at the current time, we don't have intervention. Of course, there are always the little extras, the school trips and buses and things like that. But, you know, that's the sort of level of school we are at. And if you come and visit our school, I hope you'll see very nice classrooms. I hope you will meet very nice teachers. And I know you will meet lots of nice students if you come during the day. But I won't be able to show you an indoor swimming pool or a gymnasium. Right? We haven't got those things. We go and use government facilities to do that. That is how we this sort of school. That's our kind of model, if you like. We are fully upfront and honest about how that works. And it works really well. Our primary students went to Polam football pitch today. That was great for those guys. And our secondary students were at a nearby government basketball pitch. So that worked. And I think on the last slide, almost the last slide, we have a scholarships process. That is something which we're quite proud of. We've adjusted it a little bit going into the coming year, but the students who are in our school now receive the scholarship program. I think they are very lucky, and I'm pleased that we have been able to offer an Invictus education to someone who perhaps wouldn't have been able to do it. That's a very nice thing. And in a few weeks' time, a Zoom session about that. And if I've got my slides correct, there we go. The last two, a couple of QR codes so you can sort of connect to the website, book tours, and all those sorts of things to come and find them. Because seeing a school in the flesh is probably the best way you can do it. I hope if you want to look listening to me, there's a lot more to the school, to the Brisbane catch-up track. It's time to see real, see what kids are up to, see the learning. So please do. All right, I think I have got to the end there. I'm not quite sure how my timing was, Jennifer. I hope it was spot on.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the very insightful presentation. Can you hear me well from this end? Are you okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
great, wonderful. I think there was a bit of a, I'm not sure, a bit in and out. Just want to check the Wi-Fi is good there.
Right.
Laptops all running well. We will definitely, you know, further with the presentations, once you have the soft copy, we will also send it out to the parents as well. Thank you very much. So we will move on to the Q&A session. We'll first start off in English, and then after that, I will invite Vivian, my partner here, to do the Mandarin translation. So the first question that we have, I understand that Invictus School is a true train school from kindergarten to secondary year 13, offering the international early years curriculum in kindergarten to international primary curriculum in primary, and ending with Cambridge lower secondary, IGCSE and A levels. This is unique, setting your school apart from a lot of international schools offering IB. What would you say are the 3 biggest benefits taking A-levels for students versus other curriculums in the college admission process these days? Are A-levels applicable also for students who wish to study in the US and Australia as well?
Yes, so the example that we chose for A-levels is called Cambridge, and we are doing the international A-levels and international GCSEs. And those are recognized worldwide, you know, all the universities in Canada, North America, the UK, and so forth. So it is a gold standard qualification that students can take anyway. Quite important. In terms of sort of the education that students are receiving in those 2 years, right? In some programs, say such as IB, the range of subjects is a little bit wider, which means, for example, a student who doesn't want to continue with maths, perhaps they're not so strong in it, perhaps they just don't like it, right? They might still have to continue with that in an IB, whereas in a in an A-level program where they're choosing 3 or 4 subjects, if they didn't want to do maths, they wanted to choose, say, they were thinking about geography and English, or maybe a science as well, they can do that. So it allows students to be a little more focused on their abilities, so they can get the best grades possible, and their interests for their day-to-day learning in the 2 years they're engaged in means of success, and the real sort of interest they have got the next step, the degree they are thinking about, or the career that they are hoping for. And I suppose we are unique in the fact that being a through-trained school with a bilingual program in the early days and then going on to the GCSEs and A-levels, that's the sort of unique, the only school doing GCSEs. There are some ones part of the program, but it's the whole program. So we're all focused on doing it and doing it as best.
Great. Thank you. So I would like to invite Vivian to do a quick summary in Mandarin on the answer as well. Question and answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer and Mr. Chris Jackson. 我们刚刚进行了第一个提问问题是我们了解到英维特是一所从幼儿园到中学13年级的直通车学校，提供幼儿园的国际早教课程到小学的国际小学课程，并在中学的时候呢结束了已经可以完成那个剑桥初中 IGCSE 和 A Level 的学习，这真的是非常独一无二的，使得我们学校呢在很多提供 IB 课程的国际学校当中脱颖而出。那在当今的大学录取过程中，与其他的课程相比，学生参加 A Level 的课程3大好处是什么呢？ A Level 是否也是希望在美国或者澳大利亚学习的学生OK, Mr. Chris Jackson 的回答是这样的，这个 IB 课程呢，它的广泛性就是它保持很广泛的这个领域，例如比如说数学，但其实并不适合某一些学生，比如说有些学生他那个喜欢艺术的，喜欢科学的，他未必去选择这个 IB 的课程更适合他。那在我们的学校里面，学生呢会专注3到4个科目，让学生可以选择自己擅长的这个科目领域。然后呢，我们认为当学生关注到他自己的优势，以及关注到他自己的兴趣的时候，它意味着学生可以取得更好的成绩。那这个就是我们这个教育申请的非常有优势的一个地方。那第二个呢，就是我们在这个科学艺术里面当中，比如说12年级末的 AS 的考试，它给了学生更好的更确认的一个资格。在13年级的时候，它的表现呢是更加的真实。那么在最后一年开学的时候，我们会提交这个教育的申请呢，是非常非常的宝贵的。那第3个呢是 AS 和 A Level 的这个课程的话呢，是得到剑桥颁发的这些在世界范围内得到认可的这些考试。同时的话呢，它也是非常适合想要前往英国、美国或者澳大利亚等地的香港的家庭或者是学生。 OK， 那我们的 A level 的课程是提供了更高质量的、更有针对性的这个课程给到学生。OK， 好，我们接下来去到第二个问题，谢谢 Jennifer。
Thank you, Vivian. Mr. Jackson, we move on to the second question. The Invictus School Network spans from Singapore to Hong Kong, China, Cambodia, Thailand, and Malaysia, with plans to open in Vietnam and Australia as well. With such an impressive network of schools across 1,800 students with 300 plus staff providing high quality education in Asia, can students from Hong Kong benefit from any exchange programs or potentially move to some of your other schools in the network? Should a family need to, considering Hong Kong is a place where there's a large movement of expats and even Hong Kong families these days? Are there restrictions on admissions for Hong Kong and China passport holders at Invictus?
Okay, if I start with the last part, actually, like any international school, we want to welcome sort of everybody to our schools, giving a rich tapestry. Our license is actually what's called a private license, which means we don't have any passport restrictions on students in our school. So we really can sort of welcome anybody, and we've got a lovely sort of range of passport holders and nationalities in the school to do that. Of course, parents can be looking to travel elsewhere in Asia and traveling to Hong Kong as well. So our network of schools, some of them share the same name and are called Invictus in Singapore, for example. And some of them actually go under a different name. For example, in Malaysia, we have a school. But all our schools share the same educational programs. So, for example, we're all using the Singapore maths approaches in our primary sections. And then in our secondary sections, we are all using the Cambridge GCSE programs. So family is relocating between some of the countries where we have schools. We have what we call a sort of priority entry, which effectively means if there is a place, students can sort of slip in almost effortlessly. And if there's a waiting list, our existing students can sit at the top of that waiting list. And I would hope not too long. Right? So that means that moving countries could be a very big decision for some parents, for children at certain steps of the education process. But that means that sort of worry could be taken away. Saying, leaving Hong Kong and Invictus at the end of year 10, go to Singapore, join at the beginning of year 11, and continue with that 2-year GCSE. So we're hoping that sort of seamless transition program will be really attractive. As lots of people are thinking about moving, so whether it's expat or Hong Kong people. The big network also allows sort of teachers to do the same, right? And we'll sometimes get together on Zoom to help sort of bring the benefits of the sort of different approaches that we can learn from different countries to help tailor what we do, make it more effective. Give us some sort of educational leverage, if you want. So that's how we are.
All right. Thank you, Chris. There, a little bit with the volume, but I hope we do. I think Vivian would have caught some of that answers there. Vivian, can you please translate that into Mandarin as well? Thank you.
OK 那我们刚才第二个问题，那么我们问的是英维特学校的网络从新加坡延伸到香港、中国、柬埔寨、泰国和马来西亚，并且计划在越南和澳大利亚开设。拥有如此令人印象深刻的这个学校的网络，涵盖了1800名学生和300多名的教职员工，在亚洲提供高质量的教学。来自香港的学生是否可以从任何交流计划中受益呢？或者是可以转移到其他网络中的其他一些学校？那么一个家庭是否需要考虑到香港是一个有大量外籍人士甚至香港家庭流动的地方呢？那么学校对于香港或者是中国护照持有人的入场有没有限制呢？Mr. Chris Jackson 的回答是这样的。首先呢，他回答了我们是欢迎所有的学生在这个护照上面并没有任何的限制。那另外的话呢，我们学校的网络是共享了 IGCSE 和 A Level 的课程，小学的课程也是非常的相似的。那比如说所有的学校都会实施新加坡的数学教学方法。那么我们这个学校网络呢，是会为我们的教师团队提供了发展和培训的这个作用， 所有呢这些都是为了提高在不同学校的这个学生的能力。所以的话呢，从教育的角度来看，我们学校和国家之间这个过渡是非常的容易的，那么对孩子的这个教育呢的干扰呢也是最小的。所以的话呢，在不同国家之间这个转移呢是非常的容易，非常的简单。那么如果在某一个国家它有这个 waiting list， 就是有名额的话呢，有这个等候的名单的话呢，在我们这个申请程序之后呢，会优先去录取的。OK， 那这个是我们刚刚第二个问题的一个回答。Jennifer 交给你，我们进行最后一个提问，谢谢。
Thank you, Vivian. Moving on to the last question, Mr. Jackson, please share with us the 3 strengths, attributes that you believe set Invictus School apart from other international schools in Hong Kong. Also, please share with us the type of students and families that you look for in a potential applicant. Thank you.
I'm leaning much closer because I think my microphone might be causing problems. I must get a new one. In terms of one of the attributes, I think our affordability has to be one of those. And I talked about sort of how we sort of do that. But I think our sort of position compared to other international schools in our school level has to sort of set us apart for many parents. So that's quite important to us. At the primary level, our sort of bilingual program, and then matching it to the GCSEs and A-level. I think there are not many other schools that do that, and it's clearly something that is valued by the parents we have. And the third one, I think I would say, is because we're quite a modestly sized school, usually we have 2 or 3 classes in the year. We're very much more of a community school. And this is most evident, say, in primary and kindergarten, where so many of our students are living in the Chung area. So sort of students and families and children and friends, they're all very much connected. And the school is kind of the anchor within that sort of community. And I think that's a very nice thing for us to be able to even have children who come to school on their own scooters. There are not many schools in Hong Kong where that happens. But secondary students do tend to come from further, don't have any catchment areas. So I think those would be the sort of 3 things I would. So the affordability, the curriculum sort of program altogether, and that community mindedness.
Great, thank you so much. I would like to invite Vivian to also translate the question and answer into Mandarin, please. Thank you.
OK， 谢谢 Jennifer and Mr. Chris Jackson 我们刚刚提问了第3个问题，题目是请校长跟我们分享一下，您认为英维特学校有别于香港其他国际学校的3大优势或者特质，与我们分享一下在申请人群你在申请人身上看到的学生的家庭和类型是什么样的？家庭类型是什么样的？他达到一个有3个第一个方面呢，就是对于那些寻求进入式双语小学课程和 GCSE 和 A-level 课程的家长来说是非常非常适合的，因为刚刚我们进行了这个课程的这个介绍，因为很少国际学校会有我们这个2年制的这样的一个教学模式。那第二个的话呢，就是我们的学费的水平在这里的，在我们香港的这个国际学校市场当中是非常具有竞争力的。那第3个的话呢，是作为中等规模的这个学校，我们在提供社区方面的服务，特别是幼儿园和小学的这些家庭是非常，这一点是非常突出的，因为我们可以让我们的学生跟我们的社区有一个非常紧密的一个联系，那这是校长认为非常重要的一个点非常重要的一个部分。OK， 我们今天的第2间学校的那个提问 Q&A 的 section 是去到这里了，交给 Jennifer， 谢谢。
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Once again, very clearly, that what stands out clearly is affordability, the unique curriculum, and the great community that Invictus School have. I've definitely learned a lot today, and thank you so much for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend, and from here, we will move on to our next presenter. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. Our next presenter will be from Protection, which is an immigration consultant in Hong Kong for any families looking for visa applications to move from China to Hong Kong. So I'll pass this back to Vivian, who will do the introduction for our next presenter. Thank you, Vivian.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. 好，那么接下来呢，我们去到我们最后的一个环节，就是很多家长比较关心来香港读书，怎样去解决这个签证问题。那么今天呢，我们请来了移民咨询机构信德堡移民专家。那么今天呢，会有我们的李先生 Tommy Lai 来介绍。那么我们的李先生呢，他是毕业于香港大学，是移民及财税策划专家，现在呢也是香港企业保德信移民专家有限公司的区域业务总监。那么接下来的时间，我们请到我们的李先生，欢迎李先生 Tommy。
谢谢 Vivian， 谢谢。Jenny， 大家看到这是我们公司的其中一个创办人，就是秦小姐，秦嘉丽小姐，她也是我们创办人之外，也是很多不同的商会的一些会董跟一些副会长，另外也是2020大湾区杰出的女企业家。另外也是香港中小企业联合会的移民委员会的主席。好，下一版了。好，再下一版就是我的介绍。那今天我主要也是简单的跟大家介绍一下，现在我们过来香港有什么优势啊？另外就是在申请这个移民是用什么方法可以过来？好，下一版。好。刚才也看过为什么我们公司在市场上呢？刚才我们有我们的老板2个，另外就冯先生，另外我们就是有3位，就是在右面的，大家见到就是3位前入境区的高官跟督察，他们也是帮助我们处理很多申请的移民申请的问题，主要是来香港，因为他们是在香港入境区非常有经验。刘先生跟刘美玲小姐就是在香港了，这个入境区已经超过30年的经验，他现在是我们公司受聘的顾问。另外Ted叶先生也是在入境区从事这个高级的督察超过6年以上，所以他们在经验上非常有经验，帮助我们处理不同的申请的安排。好，就是刚才我们介绍的3位，下一版。好，我们在市场上也是在香港，因为我们主要在做香港这一边，内地的朋友申请来香港，我们的经验，因为我们在这一家公司成立是2011年，现在大概成立了超过10多年了，11年、12年了。主要在最初我们是做，我们大家也知道是做这个投资移民过来香港，在2015年之后就是投资移民停了，就是我们在主要就是做现在的主要一些专才优才跟来香港读书，所以我们在这一块的经验跟我们从事的专业性也是非常高，所以我们在不同的媒体跟这些政府的机构也发很多奖项给我们，好像是我们中间见到的一个最这个香港生产力促进区颁给我们的2019金陵行奖的企业大奖，这个奖也是非常认受性比较高，因为是香港政府这个生产力促进区发给我们，对于我们专业的认受。好，下一版。好，这些也是简单的介绍一下我们之前在很多媒体还很多就是被邀请出席一些我们一些座谈会等等的。好，下一版。对，也是一些在内地的做移民的活动。对，下一版了。对，这是媒体的访问，这是他们老板跟我们的一些顾问也是提供很多不同的建议给我们的媒体传媒知道这个移民的申请的一些操作。对，好我也说，因为最主要我们的背景最主要我们是一个商务方。为什么我们说我们商务方？因为在做香港这边，现在是不是做投资移民？现在是做一个申请，要跟入境区 要通过他们看每一个申请人的背景，用不同的方法来做这个申请。所以我们的团队就是把每一个申请人的背景弄好，再整理好他给我们材料，再做这个建议书、计划书比如说优才还是积分，还是用专才是什么，找什么公司聘用这个申请人等等的操作，我们有专家在我们公司自己跟这个移民局做这个对接。所以在这方面，我们在做这个香港移民这一块，现在我们是最终端的商务方，可以帮助每一个申请人，就是自己跟入境区来沟通，就是批可这个申请。对。所以呢，刚才就是这个架构上，我们也是很多在市场上的代理也是他们有很多客户，也是把他的客户的个案转给我们来操作，因为我们在这一方面，我们是自己有一个专业的人士来操作这些个案的申请。对，下一版。那在2021年呢，我们不同的个案成功的案例也是非常多，比如说专才有150个，优才60个，奇难财政也是差不多100个，另外就是雇主的招聘，就是工作签证也是差不多200个，另外就是这个 ING， 就是我们很多来香港读书毕业之后再拿这个 ING 签证的也有100个，所以我们在做这个香港移民这一块的经验是非常有经验的，对。好，那另外就是你们看到在中间是一封入境局发出来给我们的客户的信，因为这一封信就是说出为什么有一些他们是从前找一些代理帮他们做这个申请，这个代理就是根据这个客人有时候就是他说什么，就是这个客人说的事情就一五一十的，就全部的提交给这个入境区。他们提交入境区的时候，就发生一个更麻烦的问题，就是入境区会问他们这些事情，再问很多很多不同的问题。所以在这一方面，如果在处理这个经验上，如果没有一些入境区的经验的处理人，就是我们专业的顾问来帮助我们理解这个个案，每一次我们借了很多，刚才我说奇难财政就是这些了，因为从前是 GP 的还是不通过的申请，就是交给我们，有时候我们再要做处理，但是这方面就是非常复杂，因为在处理一些 GP 的个案，有时候这个所费的时间跟这个操作是非常麻烦，所以我们建议我们的比如说合作方还是什么找我们，就是重点就是我们可以了解客户，在一次性的 pick 就可以拿到这个签证跟这个需要的一个身份过来香港。好，那现在我也跟大家说，因为刚刚在10月份也有一个新的专才跟优才的施政报告，也是在香港提出来，这是有应该有一个新的政策跟7个优化的政策出来，给我们就是在内地还是海外等等，主要是内地的客人就是申请人过来香港的时候有一些改动，这些改动也是更方便他们过来香港。好。另外就是我们也知道，现在在中国这个司法部门呢，也是在做这个处理一些公证跟这个无犯罪的记录，因为最好的地方一会我可以说的，因为在很多内地的朋友，他们打算申请到海外去，但是他有哪些公证一些无犯罪记录等等驻外的一些签证等等。也是非常困难现在，但是如果他们申请香港这个比如说优才、专才这些身份他们不需要一定拿这个无犯罪的记录。另外就是做公证这一块也是挺方便，因为我们也是帮助很多朋友在申请这一块，所以在这一方面呢，我们了解就是最重点就是为什么我们建议我们的申请人，如果他们是打算出来的时候 第一部分只是先来香港，因为这个操作是比较简单，在申请这些相关的文件也是非常容易。对，下一版。对，就是这个已经公布了，就是这个操作的非常严格。就是比如说你要去海外，还是申请海外的移民呢，这个操作也是要留心一点。对。下一部分，那其实也是我们一些客户跟我们沟通中间也是遇过一些不同的麻烦，就是我们一些例子给大家看看，就是没有特别。对，好，就是刚才说了，因为现在我们内地的朋友现在也是持有这个中国的护照，但是他没有一个有效的这个海外的签证，也是不能够，有时候是不是一定有海外的国籍，拿到海外的 passport 也是不能够出来，因为他们正常来说不能够持有另外一个 passport 吧，最重要就是这样。所以一般就是过来香港，就是拿到香港的签证，这个是第一步，可以先来香港。所以在这一部分呢，我们也知道，在处理这方面是比较申请方面是 picker， 主要就是这个申请人能够有这个双对的资格，就是可以弄到这个来香港的签证，这是比较方便。对。那刚才说了，就是解决的方法就是先拥有一个香港的身份，先来香港。来香港有不同的方法，一会儿我会跟大家可以介绍一下。对，那第一个方案就是输入内地人才计划，我们简称它就是专才，一般就是来香港工作。我们有很多客户，大部分也是用这个方法，因为这个方法我们说就是一般要求就是只是要看这个客人背景，他做的工作经验，还是在哪一部分是一个专家，还是一个有一定经验的人。我们在香港要找一家公司给他聘他过来做这个专才，所以在这方面，因为他也没有好像是优才等等的，有一些配额所以在这一部分呢我们现在也知道。专才是我们最多客户来做这个申请的这个部分另外就是它的时间的控制，因为一般我们在做这个开始的材料的守则跟这个批出来大概是6个月左右，这个时间的控制比较容易，因为在中间我们在看这个个案，在评估，在做这很多准备，提交计划书等等，大概是3个月左右。另外就是有时候快一点的，就是1个月，材料足够的时候，有时候1个月也批出来，大概4个月到6个月就可以批出来。另外就是这个专才的计划也是可以我们可以申请人也可以带他的配偶跟他的孩子小朋友过来一并的过来工作，所以在这方面也是我们很受这个内地的申请人，因为这是内地人才吧，所以只是内地人才可以做这个申请，所以在这一块很多内地的申请人就是用这个方法带他的配偶跟小朋友过来香港，小朋友就可以读书了。对。下一个，对，另外就是这个肉兽人才入境计划，因为每一年在施政报告公报之前，每一年有4000个名额，但是在我们估计就是在下一年明年呢，就是这个计划应该会这个配额已经取消，就是这4000个配额，因为之前每一年4000个，每一级就是1000个批出来，根据不同的优才的能力跟这个行业上来不同的有评委每一级批出1000个，最多1000个，但是现在取消了配额最重点的地方就是我想就是从前这个分数一定要打得很高，比如说120、130以上才能够有机会批出来，但是现在没有配额，在这一部分我想如果现在来做这个申请如果你真的这个背景我们看过评估过 比如说这个分数没一定那么高，这是120、110多，也是可以可以做这个申请，因为这个配额没有了。另外就是现在做这个申请，因为要等这个入境局的评委来看这个个案，所以现在也不太清楚。但是我们感觉就是因为没有这个每一级1000个配额出现，就是他批出来的时候，看这个申请人是不是有这个资格可以 OK 的，他就可以批出来。所以批出来的我想这个时间会在明年会更快。好，下一个。好的。另外就是很多朋友就是年轻的比如说在内地刚刚完成高考，还是过了一段时间，还是做了一段时间的工，他有一定的学历，也是打算过来可以读书。因为在这一块现在在新的政策之下，有机会就是这个 ING 计划再进一步的优化。为什么了？从前如果是读书，一定要在香港找到一家比如说大学还是专项的学校来读一个课程，比如说master 就是2年的 master， 还是这个本科等等副学习等等。但是现在呢，它有一个优化的操作，就是如果你是在内地读的专项的学位是香港的大学在内地成立的一些大学了，你可以自己来到香港，不用再读书，也是可以申请这个 ING 的身份。因为从前拿到 ING 的身份呢，最好的重点就是你可以来香港做工作，就是留在香港这个工签拿到了从前呢，如果批出来的 ING 一般就是第一次就是2年，但是现在如果是通过刚才我说，如果是你真的你是在一些香港有分校的内地的专上的学院来读书，毕业出来申请过来的时候，他现在是没有不是2年了，一批就是有机会批出3年给我们的申请人。所以在这方面要再进一步吸引我们在内地读书，就是有一定规格的一些申请人过来更容易，还是这个批出来的时间更长一点。下一版。另外就是企业家来香港这一方面，就是我们做这个企业家了，这是最重要的地方，就是要拿到一个海外的住在海外一段身份一段时间，对不起，因为在这个企业家了，因为从前就是很多移民到海外去，还是拿到外国的永居也是留过一段时间的人呢来申请，所以这个申请呢，有时候我们也要看是不是这个人就是在海外已经住了一段时间，因为入境区一定要看这个操作，他才可以来香港成立一家公司，因为这个操作不一定，如果只有这个内地的身份的申请人就不能够用这个身份。但是我们现在也有很多之前已经到海外去的人，也打算回来香港成立公司，再拿香港的工签还是这个签证，也是有很多朋友选择这个部分的申请的方案。对，下一版。对，没有了，完了。对，就是我们主要应该是大概是这些方案可以提供，因为从前我们也是跟企业教育合作过很多遍了，就是我们先帮助这些家庭这些父母来申请过来香港，因为我们有一些成功的案例，就是父母过来之后，我们再交给这个企业哪一边帮助我们的小朋友主要他们是找一些学校，比如说小学跟中学，另外就是一些国际学校，刚才你们也见过，因为我们成功的案例非常多，就是所以在这一部分我们是现在也是有很多申请人，他们也是跟我们说，就是他主要的 概念，就是打算安排他的小朋友来香港读书。所以在这一方面，我们看到就是刚才我说的几个方案，就是可以帮助这些申请人比较容易一点过来香港。所以在这一方面，我们一般就是要看这个申请人这个背景等等做一个评估。所以评估过之后，如果正式用什么方法，我们再给一些专业的意见给我们的客户来选择来做这个操作。好，大概我今天有说的内容就是这样，谢谢。
好，谢谢黎先生带来最新的这个移民政策，还有真的是确实有效的移民方式，讲解也非常的详细和清晰哈。我相信在座的家长也是非常的安心，可以让我们的保德信来协助你们进行这个签证。好，那么今天呢也非常感谢2间学校的校长的分享和带来的宝贵的资讯，感谢体验。我们可以去下一章。OK， 对，感谢奇燕1:4和 Whisper 2家公司的精心安排。那么线上的家长如果对今天的2间学校有任何的疑问，可以联系我们的顾问公司。那我们屏幕上面的这个电话、邮箱以及扫我们的2维码都可以联系到我们香港或者是深圳的同事，我们也会帮你解答任何的问题。那么我们今天的讲座呢到这里结束，感谢大家的参与。最后的话我把麦交给 Jennifer， 谢谢。
Thank you everyone for joining today. If you have any further questions, please do contact the email on the slide right now, info@concilium.edu.hk. Any questions that you have for the school, please do send it in. We will then pass on to the headmasters as well. So thank you everyone for joining our webinar today and have a great weekend. Thank you.